The one thing I do know is that I always seek help and attention in my own way, because the last thing you want to do is to go and tell the doctor, and the doctor is going to go tell the coach, oh, he's not fit to play.
Welcome everybody to the highs and lows of X's and O's. I'm your host, Dr. Hillary Cauthen, or as some of my clients like to call me, Dr. C. I'm a clinical sports psychologist based in Austin, Texas, and I've been in the field for over 17 years working with individual athletes, teams, and organizations in building their mental performance and wellness programs. My passion is to assist breaking down stigmas across communities, which is highlighted in my book, Hello Trauma, Our Invisible Teammate. This is your go-to podcast where we delve into the intricate dance between mental health, performance, and success. Every week, we explore the peaks and valleys while striving for success with the insights straight from top performers and elite athletes. Join us as we uncover their stories, challenges, and mental cheat code that could be a game changer for your performance playbook. Let's get started. I am very excited for this week's guest. We have such a mutual connection and share and passion for the topic of mental health and just sharing what's really important for the athletic venue and supporting and just sharing content around the shared space. So introducing you in a very humble way, so I can't wait for him to share his story with all of us. But Jonathan Levin is a professional soccer player from Mexico. He has 14 years of professional experience, came over at 17 years old, starting his professional career. He played in the first division in Mexico and in the U.S. and in the USL, and is, like I said, a major mental health advocate and just always positive and energetic when you learn and listen to the content he has to share. So I am really excited for the episode we're going to have today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I said before, I've been following you for a while, and I truly enjoy what you're putting out there and your content, and I think it's pretty amazing.
Well, I really love to start with just, the story shares that we have. And so I want to start with what we call learning the play. So talk to me about how you first even began your sport experience. Was soccer the first choice, or, talk to me about what happened there.
Oh, since I was a kid, I always had the ball on my feet. Always. I started playing, I think, in a team since 5 years old. And ever since, I wanted to become a soccer player. And my family, I was lucky enough that my family supported me since the beginning, and it's been a crazy ride.
Yeah. So do you come from a large family? Like, what's it like for you and your family dynamic?
I have an older sister and a younger brother. I practice a lot of sports before getting really serious with soccer. I practice hockey, boxing, tennis, just a little bit of everything. I'm a very sporty guy, and but when I started taking seriously soccer, I just dropped everything else, and I started just putting my 100% on soccer.
What do you think it was about that sport and you that connected so much?
Wow. Well, first, my dad, when I was a kid, he used to take me to the stadium, to the games so much, and I just wanted to be one of the players. I just wanted to be in the middle of the stadium with all the people, and the love for the game started just growing on me, and I just had this dream that it was just everything that I was thinking about, dreaming about, talking about. So that's just kind of how we started.
And talk to me about the cultural differences, right? Coming from Mexico, growing up, playing the game. What was that experience like from a youth sport perspective and the team dynamics there?
The difference of how people take in the sport and how serious they take it. In Mexico, you have many different reasons why people start playing soccer, but one of the main reasons is people want to feed their family, want to create an opportunities and a future for their families, and they send money to back home and all that stuff. And when I moved to the US, I guess you can say I felt a little bit in the colder side of the passion that the youth academies or the youth or the younger players, they did not have that same drive and hunger for the game, where if you lose or if you win, it was just a very big difference of how I grew up and approached the game than when I came here and when I saw just the difference, a little bit of the cultural difference.
Yeah. And were the coaching dynamics in Mexico different than what you experienced in the States at that young level?
Oh my gosh, so different. So different. I think, first of all, the hardest thing was to me to adjust to the language terms in the different exercises and to be able to communicate, because you're thinking in Spanish and then you're thinking in English and then you have to talk, and then you may know this exercise, but it's called something else. So it just took a little bit, but I think in Mexico they teach you a lot of technical and strategy and a lot of technical things that they developed. And over here, they don't focus that much on the strategy or the tactical things when it comes to younger players or youth academies. Sometimes I don't know how it's like ramped up or changed or evolved, but that's kind of like what I was looking at. Like in Mexico, they just not teach you how to play; they teach you how to think for the game and make decisions. And it's something that I felt like it was lacking in where I
Yeah.
started, I
No,
guess.
I love that. And I think it's so important for us to explore the coaching dynamics, even how our coaches talk to youth. There's a lot of dynamics here in the US that we talk about of like the language around talking to youth athletes and what's acceptable and appropriate. And, I love learning, like, was your experience the same, different, growing up in Mexico? Like, how are coaches communicating to you?
In Mexico, you're like, yes, sir, I'll jump. I'll jump as high as you will need me to jump. And I was just very accustomed to a way of just talking to superiors. That always with respect, always just sir, and like in a very proper way. And there was not much like of like an exchange of like conversations, just like about the game. And they just stay at their high level of hierarchy, you can say, right? Unless you're the captain or you're like a very like important player for the coach, or he um kind of like brings you into his wing or something, right? But here, it was like you were their friend. And one of the things that I took me a little bit to like how to interact with them and having like a full blown conversation, because I was just used to training and say, yes, sir, I'll do this, sir. I just train very hard. So I think that was a very different dynamic from where I grew
Yeah.
up.
And talk to me, like, who's back in your youth, right? And it's hard because we say youth, but at 17 you go in professional, so you're still like a teenager at that point, right? But
Oh,
who
100%.
was maybe most influential in your earlier phases of your career?
The most influential coach that I've had, his name is Ricardo Lavolpe. He won the World Cup with Argentina. He's been like a national team coach. He's coached Boca Juniors. Pep Guardiola talks so much about him, and it's somebody that opened up my eyes and my perspective about soccer, and he really made me doubt myself. When I started seeing soccer through his eyes, I was like, wow, like it just gave you a completely different perspective uh, to start thinking and playing at the same time, not just going through the motions.
And when did you know, like, you could play at the next level, that you could take your love for the game and the desire to be a professional soccer player?
Always. Like that's one of the things that in professional sports, you get so much rejection. Like you get so much rejection, but the one thing that never can decrease or change is the faith and the belief that you have to make it. And mine was like super strong. I never thought about anything different, and I always believed in myself that I had what it takes.
Where did that confidence and self-belief come from? Did people instill that in you? Are you naturally that way?
Deep down, I just had so much belief and so much hunger to achieve my dreams and to accomplish them. And I was really thankful and grateful enough to have the family that I have, that my dad was there every step of the way and just try to coach me in the mental side, where things like attitude, perseverance, discipline, like those little details that makes you different, that is going to give you that boost of confidence, um, really started showing up.
So let's transition to this high pressure play, right? Take me through your professional journey from amateur to professional and the different organizations and teams you've been a part of. Like, what was that like for you at 17?
It was a crazy road, because at the beginning of my career, I spent like 6, 7 years in one institution. And then when I got to change teams, it was like pretty big, because the team that I was
Mhm.
coming completely have every little bells and whistles for the coach, for the players, and for everything that you can hear. The only thing you needed to focus, it was play. Everything else, you just had to resolve like completely. And then when I was in a point in my life where I just like, I feel like I need to make that step. And do I stay here? Do I don't? So when an opportunity came, I decided to leave. And it just made me really humble and really realize and be grateful for every situation that I get. Because whenever you're in a team where you have everything and then you go and you have 10% of
Mm,
everything, you just get very grateful and focus into what really matters. That is that what happens on the field and not just focus and complain about things that are missing or just stuff like that, you know? But other than that, I'm so glad that my journey was the way it is because when I was in that team for like 6, 7 years, they were so strict about
mm,
scheduling, about sleeping, or just about everything that's been like the foundation of my career of how to take care of myself, how to make my own schedule, how to stay consistent, how to
mm.
stay accountable. So yeah.
Yeah, was that a hard like, I mean, it sounds like they were very structured and said, "Here's what you do, here's how you do it, go be great." Like, was it that easy?
No, actually, no. I trained so many hours when everybody else was in parties or in gatherings or just in situations that were not about soccer. And you had somebody that was helping you, like push you, like, okay, you need to go here, you need to go here. You had opportunities to talk with people, but at the same time, there was so
Mm,
much competition. So that point where like I need to be good enough. I need to be better than them. I need to play. I need to be in starting 11. Like that fire inside of you, just like if you wanted to train, you could train. If you wanted the gym, you had a gym. If you wanted extra thing for kicking the ball and all this stuff, you had it. Like you had absolutely everything. You just needed to be willing to be putting
right.
in the effort and putting in the hours. And that's just how I started. Like I started obsessing about getting better and training and perfecting my craft and just being starting 11 and being taken count from the coach and just trying to escalate as much as I could in the ladder. And what I thought that I was not getting or I could do better in my soccer or in my training with the coaches or in the team, I would
Mm,
go and do it by myself to perfect it and to
mhm.
make it better. So whenever I'm in a team or I am in a game setup, it's just coming naturally.
Yeah. Now that choice, right, like, comes with a lot of sacrifices and, time away from things. So, during that phase when you were completely immersed in your craft, what were you not taking part of? What were the sacrifices that you made?
Everything else was
Mm,
had no personal relationships. I did not had family time. I did not travel with my family for 12 years. I
mm,
missed on uh, funerals, weddings, anniversaries, birthdays. I spent so many birthdays by myself.
mm,
Friends, like everything that you can think of, I missed out on. You go to my house, my parents' house, and you see all the family photos. I'm never in them, like
mm,
never in them, because when my family would take them or when my family do that, um, I was always training, and that was always my priority. And I don't regret doing that and missing all the things that I missed because I know if I would have not missed and put the effort into what I did, I would have not become the person that I am today. And that is just what you need to do, you know, like in a day like today that there's so much competition. It's not just about what I'm getting, but it's what I'm putting extra to
mhm.
grow as a player.
Yeah. And it sounds like that came very intrinsically for you. It was your own drive. There was no, I mean, there was the external pressure of the competition and like being in the starting 11, but was there any teammate or anyone else who was like your go to that helped you and believed the same way you did and was working just as hard?
When I started this journey, no, actually, no. It was very hard because I mean, whenever you're a kid, you there's a lot of bullying in schools and just like in cliques and in group of friends. And when I started playing soccer, I when I left home, I left to play in another state, and I just felt so alone that the only person that would feel like he was there for me was my family. You know, like my daddy was
Mm,
like, "You don't come here to make friends. You come here to work." You know, it's like you come here to achieve things and to succeed, and these people are not your friend. The first
mm,
situation or the first opportunity they can do to benefit themselves instead of you, they're gonna do it.
mm,
So it's about information is power, and you need to be very careful what you say, what you open up to people, because you don't know how they're gonna either twist it or say it or take it. And it was like in a situation where, like a kid, like I went through a lot of bullying and a lot of situations where it was hard being alone in those situations. But I just had this fire and this will to achieve absolutely everything that I was putting myself out there, that I went through so much that the only person that I could trust was my dad and my family.
Mm. And like during that 6 year, 7 year commitment with this institution, right? Did you get the results you wanted? Did you reach the goals that you were aspiring to during that time?
I did and I didn't. Like at the end of the day, there was still a couple of things that I would have loved to play more time for that team and just to like build like a legacy there. And at the end of the day, it's about choices and decisions. And I don't regret leaving because it gave me like the opportunity to keep growing in so many different ways. But I felt like that team and that institution gave me the structure and the foundation for overall me being a good human being that knows how to work hard, um, just take so much in and just not give up. And but at the end of the day, I just keep so much love and appreciation for everybody in that institution and everything that maybe in the moment you don't see that it's a good for you. You're just thinking in the moment, but I'm just so grateful I grew up in a very disciplined environment.
Yeah, I mean the structure that you had and the foundation, like you said, it really taught you how to just lean in and
Yeah,
go for what you wanted, right? And then
100%.
the turning point, right? Like beyond you learning those positive attributes and character building times, the turning point for you when you decided to leave, like what came after that? What was the next step?
So there was a deal with another team that they wanted to me to go there on loan, and I wanted playing time. Like I feel like everything happens for a reason, right? Like when I was training with the first team, I was doing great. I was like being like taken in account, and that week that before or the same week that the tournament started, I got an injury. And it's
Mm,
like, look, everything happens for a reason. Like it was like the stupidest thing ever how I rolled my ankle. So I started having less and less opportunities and just less and less um, trust from the coaches and the staff. So in a point where I say like I need to play. I need to if I don't play right now and if I don't showcase what I have, I'm gonna just like get stagnant. So an opportunity came and I just took it.
yeah. Yeah, let's spend some time talking about that. Like injuries when you're in this professional realm. Like how quickly does that change the opportunity you had about playing?
This is the thing. I've only had two really bad injuries in my life. Other than that, I've taken care of my body like it's porcelain. Like
Mm,
I try to do absolutely everything to recover, to feel better, to rest, to be in my tiptoe point of physical because um, you stop playing, and you stop being important in a way for the team because nowadays, like, okay, the focus is on the players that are healthy and the players that are willing to play or can play. So you take a secondary role, sometimes a third team role, where yes, the coaches are aware of you and of your health and of your recovery, but the main focus it's the 25 players or the 11 players that are about to play for the Saturday game.
right.
So it just taught me so much about how life and soccer can just turn in a split of a second. Like, and so every day after my first injury, every day that I go without playing, I was like, you need to be so grateful every time you step on the field and
Mm,
act like this is your last training.
mhm,
Because if you go out there, you ask, so what could have you done more? What could have done different? Then why did you hold on? Why didn't just give your best? Oh, I would say like no, like every training, it needs to be like your best. You need to give absolutely your best because people don't realize that time goes by so fast. And the thing about becoming a professional at something in the sports, it's not just reaching, it's about the journey. It's all about the journey,
mhm,
right? Because all at the end of the day, what we're gonna have is just memories. Once you retire, once everything ends, what do you have? Memories and moments. So it's literally about creating the type of person you're gonna be in those moments and how it shapes you in the person you will be. So yeah, it really made me definitely percent stronger. And also, whenever I would get injured, it started putting me into a situation where it pushed me to work on the mental side because the
Mm,
physical side was not able to. So it's like,
yeah.
okay, I had a really bad depression. I was tired. I was sad, this, that. So how can I level up so that whenever I'm healthy, my mind and my focus, it's in the right place.
Yeah, and I love that you talk about the business of sport, right? Because I think people don't really realize that it's not about you, Jonathan, not being good enough, or it's in that moment of that time you were hurt, you couldn't play, your role shifted, but the ripple approach that happens in the business of sport, now you are in a back seat and you are isolated, taking care of you as you should be, but the game still goes on, the team is still moving on and evolving, relationship shifts, and it does become very isolating for the injured athlete. And to your point, it gave you a lot of gratitude of like, yeah, I can step out and I can be grateful when I'm in that present moment playing. But during that time, I'm glad you chimed in on saying, yeah, I was in a depressive state. I was in my head. And like, you chose to take the opportunity. And I want to spend some time talking about like, oh, you chose to work on the mental game. Not every athlete would do that. Right. And so, talk to me about that approach of being isolated in your thoughts and what allowed you to say, "Hey, I need to get out of this dark spot that I'm in right now."
So that came like later on in my career because other than that, that's the only super minor injury that I had throughout my whole youth career. And one of the really bad injuries when I moved to the States,
Mm,
I broke my top of the foot in three parts when I was playing for FC Dallas. And I was going through like a really dark time in that moment.
mhm,
And if it was not for my family and the way they just took me under their wing and just not let me be alone in my thoughts and everything, and my dogs, I would have crumbled. Like it's so hard. The darkest thoughts that you can have and the dark spot that you can it can takes you if you don't get the right help or somebody around you that helps you go through all these things. Because it's we're human, we cut the same. Like
mhm.
somebody is watching the game and they you hit them, they cut the same, they bleed the
Right.
same. But it's just this taboo of talking about it. It's
Mhm,
not talked about enough. And lately, across the years, like a lot of really big soccer players have come and share a lot of their stories and a lot of those dark moments where it's like you see this guy that won absolutely everything, and he said like he was absolutely in a really bad depression state throughout his whole career, and you're like, but well, why? You know what I mean? Like we don't
mhm.
understand that side, but
Right.
it was really hard. Like my family was always with me. Like
Mhm,
they whatever I needed emotionally, physically, like um they came to me to accompany to the surgery and just like mentally like talk to me and just not let me fall. Like
mhm, mhm,
obviously the drive and the will and the fire that I wanted to go back and make me doubt my career and everything was like so there because
mhm.
it's like what happened if I'm not the same? What happened if
Yes.
I don't come back playing the same or I don't have the same intensity or I lost weight? Like just a lot of it's like a quicksand. Like it sucks you
Mhm,
in, like in bad thoughts. So
mhm,
trying to train your mind as hard as you do your body, it's a must nowadays.
mhm,
It's a must. So that really helped me, which I started realizing in that moment with what depression is, where anxiety started showing up,
mhm,
on being able to like put words to my feelings and say, okay, I need to work on this. Maybe I need to talk to a therapist. Like, why am I
mhm.
feeling like this? Like, what is that I need
Yeah.
to do to not feel like this? Like, everything, just like even whenever you're healthy now, it's like you play with a little bit of fear, because you don't want to get injured again. You don't want to get hurt. It hurts a little bit. Like, so everything in the mental is so powerful that if you don't channel it the right way, um, it can make you feel like wobbly in
Mhm.
in every scenario that you can do whenever you're recovering on an injury.
Oh, there's, like, so many nuggets that we just need to, like, peel back on all of this that you said. Um,
Yes.
so this injury, this one happened when you were with FC Dallas, right? How long into
Yeah,
your career was that?
it was pretty like probably like uh in the middle ish. Like I was already
Okay.
playing for a couple of years in First Division Mexico, and I just made the switch to the US, and I was like just taking this adventure after playing a couple of months already in the US, and I was just so excited to get that opportunity to showcase myself and to just rub shoulder to shoulder with these players, and with this
Yeah.
great institution. And then the injury happens. And I was like
Yeah.
you start doubting like why me? Why God
Mhm.
is doing this to me in this particular moment. And you start learning how to listen differently and start saying, why is this me out? Why is this happening to me? Is like, what is this trying to teach?
Mhm.
What is this moment trying to push me to evolve or to become or to learn? Because sometimes we get so hung up on why this me? Why me? Why right now? And
Mhm.
it's like, oh, everything happens to me badly right now. And it's just about shifting the perspective, like just a little trick of like, again, what is this moment trying to teach me? What is
Right.
this moment trying to push me out to be the person? What is this moment wants me to evolve on or in? So So yeah, I think that was like one of the things that was really hard for me because regardless, I was always being a very positive person, but having such a doubt and negative darkness in my mind, it was just really hard to just stay authentic to myself and to my
Mhm.
feelings and just really talk about them
Yeah.
instead of just putting the front and putting face that everything is okay. I'm focusing on playing. I'm focusing on getting better and not overdo your training. So yeah, I was just lucky enough to have my dad around me that helped me navigate all through all of this.
And I love the analogy that you said. We all cut the same, right? We all bleed the same way when we have that physical injury. But even to your point, and this is why I love doing this and what my intent is for this podcast, when you share the injury you had and go into the dark side of your mind, those thoughts are real and true for almost every injured athlete, and even non-injured athletes. But the commonality of the injured athlete when they're, why did this happen to me? And the anger that can come in and the resentment and then the fear and all of those thoughts of like, can I come back? What if I don't? The what ifs, and like that is so common and true. And so when you share this, like that's what I want to be shared is like, yeah, we can't see those thoughts in your head. Like we could see someone who breaks their leg or bleeds, but your point is it's quicksand. And then you shifted it just a little bit and you had the awareness to say, okay, but what if I could? Why is this happening to me? What can I learn from this? And that gives power to your thoughts in a different way, and I,
Oh
and I
my God,
love that.
insane. And I think one of the things that people don't realize in professional sports is that because of how much time and effort you invest and how much of your life are this part of being a professional athlete, it becomes part of your identity. And it makes
Mhm.
you feel like you're worthless if you don't do it. Like obviously, whenever you're um, not playing or they're not giving you the opportunity to play or you're not playing as good or like whatever, right? Like opinions also like make you feel a certain way. But especially whenever you're injured, you just feel like you are worthless. Like it's so bad, and just trying to not determine, but figure out who you are without the sport for X amount of time.
Mhm.
It's hard because it makes you kind of like peel back a little layer of you. And
Yeah.
it's like, again, it's making you evolve into something. Like, no, it's not like why this is happening to me. It's like, okay, what version of myself I need to evolve to surpass this, to be able to survive this and to thrive whenever I come back. Because
Yeah.
everybody can just get injured and everybody can come back. But so many people, it takes a long time for that confidence, for that self-esteem to just be back at it and feel like everything flows. But it's like one version of yourself life is want you to be for this
Mhm.
challenge, because you cannot be the person you were before, because he's
Right.
not going to be able to survive this. But it's what person is pushing life you to be for this moment.
And like you said, that this was kind of the real pivotal moment that allowed you to dive into your mental game, right? The mental play that we talk about. And, I know you said your dad and the family support system was there, but there was mentions of, should I actually seek out a therapist? Should I work through that? Like, did that evolve? Did you seek out additional support on your own and really dive into your mental health?
You know what? I was in a point in my life where I've had not very not very friends where I can actually like open myself and trust in those moments, because in soccer you just like whenever I left so young, I just lost all my friendships, all my friends that I went to
Mhm,
school and stuff. So I wanted to talk to somebody that had no idea who I that
mhm,
was not part of my family, that was not my agent, that was not just any in my circle, because they always give you like the opinion of a loved one, like knowing you
yeah,
and like, oh, like from like this endearing side.
mhm,
So I was going through like a really hard time at that moment, also in my personal side, because I was living in in a very bad relationship. So I just needed somebody to talk to, and I did not want to talk to my family. I did not want it to
mhm,
open up about somehow, because I was not as confident to bring some topics to my family in that matter. So it's like
mhm,
I need external help. I need to talk to a
mhm,
therapist, somebody that's
mhm.
going to help me navigate throughout these thoughts and these situations and make these type of decisions. So that's when I really dive into outside help.
Yeah. And was that difficult at first, or was this like a breath of fresh air and like, yes, I'm so glad I finally did this?
No, actually, like I'm so glad I did this because I just wanted a Switzerland opinion.
Mhm.
Where like there's no sway. You're not in the media. You're not in my family. Like you don't care who I am. Like he
Right.
gives you nothing. So it was really nice to be able to just talk to. It took a little bit to actually be very super super vulnerable with this person, but at the same
Mhm.
time, I feel like it just opened up whole lots of opportunities for me to really just tap into what I really wanted to heal and to resolve in that moment.
Yeah. I love it, and I love the fact that you're talking about we see the evolution of the mental side of the game now. We hear a lot of stories of the aftermath of, "I did this in the darkest period of my life," and you and I are like, "Well, why not do it when you can get help also?" Right? Like, have some support, but, what do you think your relationship is now with mental health? What have you seen change culturally, whether that's in Mexico, in the US, in the sport domain? Like, where are we at with this mental game and the mental side of it?
I mean, I think it's growing and it's shedding some light that for you to be in your best performance, you need a mental coach. You need a mental side of the game. You will need to work as hard as you do your body, your mind. Like you see Rafa Nadal and like all LeBron James, like Cristiano Ronaldo, all these big, big, big athletes and superstars. The one thing they say is not like, oh yeah, like all my no, it's like the mental side. How do you control
Mhm.
those thoughts? How do you control that anxiety? How do you control that depression whenever you're like in a low like level in your life? It's like having to be able to shed so much light in that right now. I think it's growing so much, and I've gone through my own depression, my own anxiety, and just my own things that you just have to be open and be okay to wanting to heal that part of you so you can become better. And it has definitely made me a better person and just made me be more complete and more at ease in myself. But I think more and more is being talked about, like Simone Biles, what happened in her
Mhm.
in Tokyo, like last Olympics, or
Mhm.
what happened with there's like a tennis player that was a woman that she um, retrieved from a game because she just had severe anxiety. Or there's also a documentary on Netflix about a tennis player and about the tour and how he literally said, "I'm not gonna go out and play the final of the ATP tour or something against Roger Federer because I'm just like not." And people don't see that it's just so much pressure, and we put
Mhm.
so much pressure on ourselves that having that courage to be vulnerable and to just be real and to
Yeah.
do it and to say, I'm sorry, I can't right now. at the beginning you're going to be criticized, but at the end you're just going to be put out to be like, courage is to feel the fear and still jump.
Mm,
So it's one of those moments where you need to talk about it, because before it was very ostracized, and it's like, oh, if you're having a therapist or if you're having this problem, like, you're broken, like, I'm not going to invest this amount of money on something like that. You're like, you need to perform day in and day out, and you're not allowed to see weaknesses on you.
right.
So seeing something like this is like, wow, is this, like, money is safe to invest in this person? Like, is it gonna be okay? Is it gonna give me my return? Like, all these things that now it's opened up the path to, like, being okay, to a point where you can seek it for yourself and work on it, and at the same time just be very honest with yourself to become the better version of yourself.
Hmm. And like you're making me think here of different things, right? Obviously, I have a bias for you being a sports psychologist that I I love that we would have everyone come in and like work with us. Um, but listening to you, I'm curious from your framework. If you were not in the environments you were in and the high pressure situations and the professional atmosphere, do you feel you would have taken time to focus on your mental health in general? Would you have needed to?
I mean, I don't know, to be honest. Like, the one thing I do know is that I always seek help and attention in my own way, because the last thing you want to do is to go and tell the doctor, and the doctor is going to go tell the coach, oh, he's not fit to play. Oh, he's not this. Even if it's with a minor injury, like, you
Mhm.
suck it up and you treat it yourself, so that they don't go and tell the coach, so that you can play. But I think I would have had different challenges. I think in life, there's not of what if, it doesn't exist. I would have been a completely different person of who I am today, but I would have not been who I am today if I would have not had my struggles. And I am
Yeah.
really grateful for life for showing me those struggles, because it made me so much more stronger. It's like,
Mhm.
whenever life breaks you apart, you know that it's trying to build you back up. You just have to
Yeah.
be strong enough to realize that it's not destroying you, it's actually making you better. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
how willing are you willing to work for this? How strong are you willing to be for this?
Mhm.
And I would have not been so sensitive to these type of topics if I would have not become a professional. So
Yeah. And it's interesting, right? Because some athletes we know have so much success and we have no idea the battles and the demons and the darkness they're facing, right? Because they're successful and all we see is the success. And then we have the opposite side where we have athletes who actively come out and say, hey, I have to take a break. I'm personally not okay. And it's impacting my performance. And it's always, when's the right time to get help? How do we get access? And that's my question to you is when do you feel athletes or individuals, and we'll use it in a sport context, but when do you feel an individual should have access to a mental coach, a sports psychologist?
why do I think it every single time? I think whenever you're trying to shape the young minds uh, from tomorrow, it builds um, a culture of, like, okay, here we work on this, but we also work on this side. So you feel
Mhm.
supported, you feel loved, you feel like
Mhm.
you have somebody to talk to. You don't feel judged. Like, I don't know if you know a lot about soccer players, but there's like this soccer player that he was so big. His name is Dele Ali, right?
Mhm.
He
Mhm.
played in England, and he really recently, like in the last couple of years, maybe like a year or two or something, he gave a very vulnerable interview. He was always very criticized for partying and for his drinking and from this, like, chivalrous, like,
Mhm.
and one day he came out and said, like, yes, when I was a kid, I was molested. I was this, I've been depressed, like this, that, something that you never thought about in
Mhm.
your life, that somebody like that could go through that. So
Mhm.
while he coming out and being just so courageous, so brave, and just put his vulnerableness out there for people to just see, oh, well, this is why it happened. If I would have had somebody, if I would have done this or this, and it can help prevent kids and people to say, I need this. I If he was brave enough, I can be brave too. So I
Mhm.
think it's about setting a earlier culture so that instead of healing from the
Yeah.
early stages, you are empowering and making stronger the people.
Yeah. Yeah, the preventive approach I think is much needed, right? Having a resource early on, making it accessible, teaching people, like you said, who are you as a person, right? How do you cope with these things early on? How do you feel your feelings? Because you learn that through experiences and on your own. And then it became much more of, oh, I have to fix and heal and make better versus learn and develop, and so we have to shift that. Yeah. What were some what were some key things that you have learned and maintained to enhance your mental wellness now? What are things that you do daily or that are major takeaways that allow you to feel healthy and happy?
One of the things that I do every day and I try to feel very blessed is that I do a lot of affirmations in the mornings and night,
Mhm,
but also I try to dissect and journal a lot where what I'm grateful for. We
mhm,
always are thinking, I want this and I want that and I don't have this and I want this car and I want that shirt and I want that house. We always are telling what we are lacking of. And our words are so important. They have so much power in our nervous system than the way you talk to yourself. It's how you're gonna feel. So
mhm,
if you talk to yourself with love, with care, with empowerment, with gratefulness, that's how your body and nervous system is gonna react and absorb everything. So for me, it's just like every day, just and I meditate twice a day, and I just try to drop in my feelings. So I just drop in myself to just check to see how am I feeling. Am I having anxiety? How is this situation making me feel? And so I can just come into like a center and also just like really word out what I'm really grateful for in my life, like
mhm,
because you as an athlete, you're very blessed to have the opportunity that you can have, like monetary or just like access wise, or just the type of life that you're living, right? But
mhm,
like nowadays, if you have health, you have a roof over your shoulder, if you have food for your family, if you have clothes for your back, and everybody in your family is healthy, you're blessed that you have so much more than people have.
yeah.
So it's just about really being grateful and blessed in those little things that sometimes we take granted for.
Mhm. I love that. And even in all the stories you shared from the highs and lows you've had, there's always been a sense of gratitude and awareness of like,
Yeah.
this is my perspective and I'm grateful I've gone through this and here's where I've learned. And I love that story that you shared. All right, one thing I like to ask our guests is if you had a mental cheat code that you
Yeah.
would live by, right? And you're saying this cheat code allowed me to be successful in my sport or in life. What would that mental cheat code be?
Being consistent in meditating every day.
Mm,
Like that helps you to release so much stress and to calm
mhm,
your nervous system and to actually recenter yourself. And whenever you do it consistently, it
mhm.
gives you a whole different perspective and it makes you feel so much different. So if I could have one cheat code that I would have started doing it in my younger age,
Yeah.
it would have been that.
Now, you mentioned you meditate twice a day. Is there a difference in terms of your meditation before practices, before competitions, or do you keep the same routine in your meditation always?
No, so I practice Vedic meditation. It's kind of like to reset and relax your nervous system and release all that
Mhm,
stress that you've had
mhm,
pent up inside all those years, But before trainings and before games, I do a lot of breath work and
mhm.
I do a lot of visualization. So whenever the meditation is to dial down and relax and just like gather myself together. And then before games and before practices, I do so much breath work that it helps wonders and visualization for what I'm gonna do for that day, for that game. How is it gonna be? Like that, if I would have started it earlier, I feel like it would have made so much big of a difference.
Yeah. And I love that. And I love that you shared there's so many different types. I think the general consensus is like, oh, just do mindfulness or just meditate. But they don't understand there's so many nuances and so many purposes for this type of work. And you even broke down here's one aspect of meditation I do that allows me to release the tension, the somatic stress I'm carrying. Here's breath work that allowed me to calm my parasympathetic system before I go in to compete. And then here's me visualizing with intention for what I'm about to do. Like so many different aspects with just 3 different things you've shared about, and they're not the same. And so I love that. Um, Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I said like 100%. This is like a trial and error, right? Because not
Mhm.
what they say you have to actually do it the same. Like no, the wonderful thing about this is like you can try as many things as you want, and you can just stick with what works for you, what fits you and your lifestyle and your mind. And if something fits for you but it doesn't fit for me, that doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just if it's better for you. So it's about trying so many things and figure out what you want and what's like come together for you.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so let's spend our last little bit talking about like future and legacy. What are your plans in and out of sport and life?
Wow, that's a big topic. But I mean, currently I want to keep playing soccer, for as much as I can. I love what I do, and I think I still have so much in me. But I want to, as far as I thought, I want to start to raise awareness and to become like a public speaker and just to share my story to help as much just people or athletes in their own journey and their own struggles to like help them where I did not have help or I did not have guidance or I just did not knew what to do and help people this way where it can prevent so much pain, so much stress, so much anguish, and just so much mistakes in your life if you're just uh if you're what's the word? If you're taking the right path and then you're
Mhm.
focusing on the things that are gonna make you feel better.
Yeah. Is there any like thoughts that you'd love to share with young athletes kind of listening or aspiring into of like how could they balance their mental health and competitive sport earlier on?
I mean, I think one of the keys is keeping close to your family and your loved ones.
Mm.
I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things that it's most important because who you surround yourself with, it's who you become, right? And if you surround yourself from the wrong people, you're gonna become the same as the wrong people. But if you have family that loves you and people that care for you and your well-being, you're always gonna become the best version of yourself, and to never, ever, ever doubt your dreams. Like always be the hardest working man in the room, and always soccer is about opinions. There's gonna be more rejections than yeses, but just know your worth and enjoy and love every single day because that is the dream, not to become
Mhm.
and not just to play one game. It's actually the journey of who you become in the process.
Yeah, I love that. So how can athletes and coaches and individuals, anyone, how can they share up to date with what you're doing and kind of follow what you're working on?
I mean, I am on TikTok, I am on Instagram, I'm on Twitter or X. It's at John Levin 7, and I'm just putting everything out there. And I'm hopefully soon I start giving like public talks and stuff like that where I can share more person like in person things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I love it. Thank you for the time. As I said, I love hearing the things you've had to share. The voice of advocating for mental health is so important. Having it come from a player is just so genuine and real. And cross culturally, we see that happening, the impact you're having. So, just I really appreciate the time that you spent with us today.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. It was very nice to meet you. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us this week on the highs and lows of X's and O's. I hope today's episode has equipped you with another mental cheat code to help you navigate your own highs and lows in pursuit of your success. Don't forget to subscribe, share with your friends, and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and we'd love to hear what you'd like to hear next. Until next time, stay curious, compassionate, and courageous.